Hello, Nico. Hello, Mike.
Hi, Kayo. Hi, Nico.
Hey, Kayo. Hey, Mike.
So today, iOS Dev Mentoring number 11, from developer to team lead. So disclaimer, we'll not be coding in this session. So it's pretty much a podcast conversation style where Nicolás, Mike, and I will be sharing our experience and challenges when you become a lead developer or a team lead. For example, we code much less than before, and we need to deal much more with conflicts, deal with business issues, and translating the communication between business and the dev team. And it's a completely different game when you become a team lead or a lead developer and you take those responsibilities. So we're going to share a little bit our experience and try to help each other. Because when you become a team lead, you're going to be an eternal student. You're always learning and improving as you go. So before we start, Nico, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, hello. My name is Nico. I'm from Spain, from Zaragoza, and I did a computer engineering degree there. And then when I finished, I moved to Madrid looking for a iOS dev job, and then I got it. And then I arrived at this small company where the managing job was missing a bit. So I started being less coding and more managing and being more project manager, analyst, etc. So that's why I asked you guys to do this session about team lead.
So you like coding and you like managing. You like both sides.
Yeah, I really like both sides, but it's not just one. It's the same if I would be just coding. Like I like doing both, not just one.
And if you have to measure how much time is spent in both, is it like pretty much 50-50 at the moment?
At the moment, no, not at all. I'm 95% managing and analyzing.
Okay. So you sent us a couple of questions. Let's go one by one.
Yeah, perfect.
So first question. How to split a project, tasks, to better fit every team member's skill. So what do we mean by that? What is the challenge you have with that?
One of the most difficult things I've found is like breaking up the project into tasks and assign them to the team members. Maybe one of them are better doing the graphic part, some of them the logic part. I don't know if I'm explaining too well.
So, as always, if you have a team of developers, there's always someone that is better at doing the UI, others are better at doing more architecture stuff, others are better at low-level scripting. They like doing like the CI beats and automating stuff. So how can you maximize the strengths of the team, right? And enable them to use their skills and let them achieve their natural best. If they're good with UI, you want them to contribute to the team with the skill that they're good at.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the biggest challenge here is that I like to avoid assigning tasks for developers based on their strengths only. Otherwise, this person that is good with UI will be doing only UI stuff.
Yeah.
So when this person is on holidays or this person decides to leave the team, who is going to take care of the UI going forward? It's going to create a silo in the code base that only one person can deal with. And that's not good.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you need to balance that. So everyone understands how the code base works. Everyone should be familiar with every part of the code base. But of course, some people are going to be more likely to be better at UI. Some are better at scripting, some better at logic, some better at performance, debugging. But you shouldn't limit and say, well, if CI, it's Bob who's going to deal with CI. If it's UI, James is going to deal with UI. If it's logic, Susan's going to deal with logic. This is not going to work because you cannot have one person responsible for one part of the code base.
Yeah.
Right. So the way I see that it works is to have like a good foundation skills that people should have in the team. Everyone should be, for example, good at testing, good at understanding the design. There should be like a shared understanding of the design of the code base and how to maintain it. A shared understanding of the processes in the team that everyone needs to know. And if someone doesn't know, let's say, Bob is very good with UI, but he's not very good at writing tests. Then you can pair someone that is good with testing, pair with Bob, so he learns the testing skills, and he also teaches others the UI skills. So you want the team to start sharing their knowledge within each other. How? Pairing is a great exercise to do it.
Yeah, so that's where the strength lies, where you can have a person that is better at something and make the whole collective better at that something that, the skills that he possesses, right? So it's understanding that the collective effort is what's gonna make greatness within your team. It's not just a single unit, it's everyone, because over time, the units are just gonna leave, or they're gonna be transferred to other teams, that type of thing. But like, what are you gonna do? What you're gonna do if they leave? Like, you need to be ready for that. So how do you become ready? You get the people that are good at what they do, and they teach the rest.
And sometimes you don't have a skill in the team that you need. Like, no one in the team is good with user experience, but someone is showing that they are willing to go to a course, for example. You can provide them the training they need, and they can bring the knowledge to the team and share with the team the knowledge. If you can create this culture of sharing between the team, everyone needs to be responsible for the code base, because you need to be able to cover for others. Make sense?
Yeah, I understand. It really makes sense, but it gets complicated when the size of the company and the economic resources are not that that good. So yeah, I of course I agree with what you said. And as a small company, so ideally you should have every part covered by someone, or time to spend learning or going to a course or etc. But sometimes you're just tied to your agenda. I think so. That's another layer of complexity added to this thing. Yeah, but of course, what you said makes totally sense.
Yeah, because you also need to manage the resources, as you said. Yeah. And if you have only 3 developers in the team and you have a very short deadline, you need to focus the strengths to get to the deadline. But a deadline is a short-term goal, right? Yeah. And you need to achieve short-term goals, but you cannot forget the long-term as well, because if you focus only short-term, the long-term is going to be compromised, and at some point you're going to lose, right? So you need to balance that.
There might not be long-term, if you just focus on the short-term.
Yeah, and that involves the business part.
Yeah.
And then the conversation gets funny. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and that's pretty much our job if we become a team lead, to go there and explain to the business and show them that if you focus only in the short term, there'll be a long-term loss, and propose how you can do it, still achieve short-term goals, but also make the team ready for the long term as well. So you need to understand in which point the company is in, right? Startups normally, they are very focused on short-term gains, because that's how they're going to survive. Because that most businesses, they don't survive like 3 years, right? So if they pass that, they need to start caring more about the long term, because if you don't keep delivering value to those customers, well, they're going to leave.
Yeah.
That's the hard part.
Yeah, and part of the new job.
So in which stage would you say you are in? You're focusing a lot in short-term goals at the moment?
Yes. We have been proposing new tech practices in the company and protocols and etc. And we have been successful in that, but we still have a long way to. I would say we're focused in a good direction, but not yet there.
Yeah, it's never perfect, never will be. There will always be challenges, and the market changes, like the COVID crisis now. Like no one was expecting that, and businesses have to adapt very quickly. And maybe you were not ready to have like a remote team, and now you need to adapt to that. It's another layer of complexity added to the whole management of the team.
I have to say that part was surprisingly easy and good. No issues.
That's good. Fantastic. So, how to split a project based on the member skills? I recommend for the long term to make sure that the people share skills between them, so there's not silos in the code base where only one person knows how to deal with this part of the code base. That's not good for the team. But in the short term, you may have to allocate those resources to get the maximum output in a short period of time. But if you focus only on the short term, you're gonna damage the long term. And that's the challenge. There is no easy answer. You're gonna have to find the answer within your team. And not just within your team, but also going back to the business sometimes and pushing back and say, hey, if I put my team under this stress, this is not gonna be good in the long term.
Yeah. That's the main responsibility now, make the business understand what's going on and win some room for the team, so they can do the best. And usually these two come in conflict, but I believe we're going to address that in the next questions.
Yeah, I have to take the adapter pattern.
Excellent.
Yes, you are.
It's an excellent analogy. That's it.
Because you also need to translate that to the dev team, so the dev team understands when there's business emergencies, so they can focus as well. Because you don't want the business being selfish and just think about them, and the dev team thinking just about them as well. You need to bridge the gap. That's why it's hard. That's why it's hard.
And speak both languages.
Yes. And that's why it's so valuable as well for businesses to have team leads.
Yeah.
High risk, high reward. Next question. How to deal with conflicts? What do you mean by that?
Well, in fact, I have a recent example about this project where it was two people. It was one backend and one frontend. And, one of them was full stack. So I thought it would be good to bootstrap the project with one person to arrange everything and make the structure of the project. Then incorporate the second person, and then they could develop together the rest, no? So it happened that the decisions the first person made, with some gaps of information that we had after from the client, the second person that arrived to the project was afraid of changing things that they were already there, not even making the point to me like, hey, this decision was made with this information, now we have more information, should we change what we did? So they didn't came with to me with this. So after some weeks, some problems start happening, and they were like, one was against saying to me like, I wouldn't want to say something because the person A did this, and the other one was like, well, but I had no information. So my point was, guys, why you didn't tell me this? There is no problem to change stuff. It's not because he did it or she did it that it has to stay like this.
Right.
For example, that's one of the recent problems I had. Sometimes it's also the ego thing, no? I think there should be no ego. Like if someone has a better solution, share with them, share with him, and learn together.
Right.
Do they have the space for that? Do you have a specific time during the week where you stop and people have the space to do that, or are you expecting them to be proactive
proactively.
Yeah, that's probably the problem. Because if it's not happening proactively, is that people don't feel like they have the space, or they still don't have relationships in the team that they feel comfortable doing that. Right? In this case, maybe they didn't feel comfortable because maybe if I do it, I'm calling out someone else's work.
Yeah.
And I don't feel comfortable calling someone out yet. So if they don't feel comfortable yet, maybe you should allocate 1 hour a week or 1 hour every 2 weeks where people are going to have a 1 hour to discuss things that needs to be improved, for example, or half an hour or 15 minutes. But give them a space. It's a space dedicated for that. So there is no runaway from it.
Yeah, like a specific for that.
Yes.
Okay.
15 minutes, everyone brings problems that we need to address. It's not about blame, right? And you make sure that like this is not about blame. We are here because we want to find how to improve things for everyone.
Exactly.
Right? Because proactively, it will only happen if people feel comfortable doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, comfortable addressing the issue in the first place. And then like how do they so addressing is one part, actually having the courage or not having the ego to talk about it, right? But then for that to happen, everyone must believe in the same thing, right? Like their incentives need to be aligned, right? So they have a common goal. So for example, if I'm doing something wrong, Kaio comes to me and says, okay, this is wrong, or vice versa, right? Because we believe in the same thing. We have the same goal, and we want not to have problems, right? We want not to create problems in the first place. And the first step is to address it, right? Understand like, yeah, it's not assigning blame to someone. It's like addressing the issue of this action is going to be probably against, our ultimate goal. It's going to work against us. It's counterproductive. We don't want that.
Exactly. It's not about what did I do or don't do. It's like what did we do with the project or the other product.
So if they have a shared goal, if you help them build a shared goal, they might disagree how to get there, but everyone wants to get to the same place. And then you don't need to find consensus. The conflicts will arise when you cannot agree how to get there. If you have the shared goal, you're already 50% ahead of most teams.
Miles ahead, yes.
Like in the world. Now, you're going to have conflicts on how to get there. But as long as you have the shared goals, you don't need consensus, because you need people to commit to achieving the goal. And sometimes there are going to be disagreements. I want to follow on object-oriented design. No, I want to follow functional design. I want to use RX Swift. No, I want to use Combine. And then you're going to start having these conflicts of like the tools or like paths to get to a place. But that's what you want in the team. Commitment to achieving the goal. They might disagree how to get there, but they're still committed to getting there together. We need to remind them when there's a conflict and say, remember, we are going to achieve this goal, regardless if you use RX Swift or not. So make sure everyone is heard. The problem is when you have a conflict and someone just decides the solution, don't hear everyone's opinion, because then people are going to start holding grudges against each other. And that's problematic.
Like that's very, very, very big problem there. Not having the space to say what you think, or to think that you're not allowed to ask a question, or to think that maybe what I'm going to ask is stupid, like that's a big no-no. That contributes to the opposite of what Kaio is saying, make sure everyone is heard. And this builds up internally to the team, and that's bad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. As you said, not everyone is so proactive, or the amount of space or specific place they need to talk about things is the same. So maybe one of them with 5 minutes meeting with a lot of people, they would come up with something, but some of them will not. So yeah, it's a good idea what you said about making a specific place or moment to speak about all of this.
Yeah, if the team is not being proactive, don't rely on proactivity. Make sure they do it somehow, like opening a space for them to talk about it. And that space is only to talk about problems they see in the code base, for example.
The proactivity is up to you now, like you should be the proactive one and say, okay, are they talking between them? Are they assigning blame or whatever? Like, I need to address that, right? So they can communicate openly.
Yeah, I'm happy because this was a short project. It was a 3 months thing, and this happened like in the third or fourth week. So the first third part, and now we're in the second, and the communication between them it's much better, and they are filling the gaps, and so yeah, I'm happy with them.
That's it. The team is gonna mature with time. The more they work together, the more they go through those conflicts together.
Yeah.
That's why it's important to make sure that everyone is heard. Because if everyone is heard and they have a discussion, then they're not going to hold grudges against each other, right? So if you're in a meeting and someone says, well, we should use RX Swift, and someone start rolling their eyes, like, oh, here we go again. You say, oh, looks like you have a problem with that solution, so why don't you say it? Like be a mediator sometimes during conflict and say, okay, what are your points? Come on, let's hear, let's hear everyone. Because everyone has a good reason to do what they do.
Yeah.
That's very important to understand. Like, maybe it works for them and it doesn't work for the team, but the reason in their head, it's like, it's true. That's it. It's a good one. And the person that is against using RX or whatever solution, right? It doesn't matter. They also are right in their own regard, right? In their head are right. So you are the one at the middle to understand the conversation, but then there must be a conversation, right? Otherwise, yeah, it's gonna be grudges. I think, as Kaya said, there are gonna be grudges, and you're not gonna reach very far.
But if they have the conversation, then they're gonna build a relationship. They're gonna feel more comfortable dealing with conflict next time, as it happened, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And as you said about productivity, leadership is productivity, right? Leadership is not a title that you gain. Leadership is like you took action when no one was taking action. That's leadership.
Exactly.
And it's very hard to expect leadership from everyone. Most people just want to give that responsibility to someone else.
Yeah, that took me some time to realize.
Yeah, because if you are already like this person proactive, like you're a natural leader, like you expect everyone to be like you, but like, no, they're not.
Yeah, totally.
All right, next question. So how to transition from developer to team leader? What do you mean by that?
Well, I guess it's kind of making your mind about your new day by day work of maybe, because when you're developing, your day is more clear, like what you have to do, how to split your time. But then when you're leading, it's talking to business, thinking. You don't get told what to do. You think what you should tell the others to do and yourself.
Very well put.
And also the thing of no coding when you love coding. But that's, I guess, just...
So yeah, like this 95% and 95% dealing with the business and 5% dealing with coding. That's, you should find a way to be okay with that. Like, make peace, inner peace, first of all. As we said before, like it's this, you become this adapter, like you said it best. You become this adapter, and it's no easy, because the adapter needs to be proactive. And like, that's another good insight that you said, that you change from a position where you're being told what to do, and now suddenly it's chaos, like you don't know what to do. But that's, yeah, like somehow you need to find out.
Yeah, the biggest change is that you were responsible for building the product as a developer, and now you're responsible for the people that develop the product. So you're still a big part of developing the product. You need to now fall in love with helping the people that build the product. It's a new responsibility.
So yeah, I guess the role of a team lead regarding to code is to help developers less experiences than you to solve some kind of trouble or issue they have with the language or technology that you know.
Mentoring.
Yeah, like you guys do.
Yeah. You need to mentor them as to how they're going to find solutions on their own, right? So it's not like just, okay, what's the problem? Here's the solution. Like you need to build them the confidence to go out there, right?
Yeah, and by themselves. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck there all the time. And that's not good. That's like, you don't have that much time,
Yeah. You told them how to fish, not to give them the fish.
Excellent. Yes, that's it. That's exactly correct.
Like how to transition from developer to team leader is the same as how to transition from, I don't know, a musician to a developer, right? You need to be a student, Leadership is a skill, right? And there are ways you can learn that. Just like you read books about programming, are you reading books about leadership?
Nope. Maybe you should.
Yes, I'm going to give you...
Do you have some recommendations?
Right now. First one, read this book, 5 Dysfunctions of a Team.
Okay.
Hal Moore on leadership. Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek. And I like Extreme Ownership as well.
Okay.
So if you read, I don't know, can you allocate 45 minutes a day to read?
Yes.
Is it possible? Yeah. So if you do it, you can read these 1, 2, 3, 4 books in 2 months, let's say.
Really?
In 2 months, you're going to have finished 4 books.
Okay.
They will change completely how you perceive leadership.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I will go through them. Yes.
Leadership is a skill. Just like how you learn every skill, practice. Learn, practice, execute. Iterate over and over.
There's this huge misconception that, like it's the evolution of a developer to become a team leader, or become the lead developer, whatever that means, And usually it means that they're going to be the most senior developer in a team. But this is like, as you understand now, this is completely different. You don't code anymore that much as you used to, right? And then you have all this different set of problems that you need to deal with, and you have absolutely no idea how to do it, right? So you need to understand that, you're a student here because you're learning something completely new. You're not supposed to know these things, right? I think once you realize that, this can take the burden off a bit, off of your back. And understand that exactly as once you had absolutely no idea about programming, and now you have become this excellent experienced programmer. It's exactly the same thing with leadership. If you want to do that, right, you should just allocate the time and find mentors and people that are already doing it and learn from them.
That's it.
I'm sure you did exactly the same when you were learning how to code, right?
It's true. I don't know why I wasn't seeing that in the same way, but of course, yeah.
When I became a programmer, I thought that, wow, I'm just going to be doing this for 10 years and I'm going to become good. I'm going to become a lead. As like it's a natural progression, but it's not, because leadership is also a skill completely different than programming. And if you don't build those skills, you're going to be a good developer, but doesn't mean you're going to be a good leader.
Yeah, Yeah, and learning by experience, of course, possible in something real, but the speed is of course not the same, and you miss some really important part.
And have you read the Lead Developer Essentials book?
No, I went through it like quickly, but I haven't.
Yeah, we share a lot of those principles there as well. How to be a lead developer.
Okay.
Exactly on this topic, how to do it and how to transition as well, and what to focus on and what not to focus on. So it's going to be, I think, a very, very big help for you.
Thank you. I will keep that in mind, yeah.
Because we notice by mentoring developers, they improve their skills, they become good at what they do, they take more responsibilities, and people start noticing that they are doing well, and they start giving them better positions of leadership, and then they get to this position of leadership, and they get stuck because they don't know what to do. And that's why we wrote the book, because it's a natural progression. If you become good at what you do, they're going to put you in a position to teach others, to mentor others, to lead others. And then we get there with very good skills, but we don't know how to lead other people. And we want them to behave like we did. And we want them to do what we do, but they don't. And they need to realize that what got you there is not going to get you to the next step. Right?
Mm-hmm.
What got you to the leadership position is not what's going to make you thrive in a leadership position. Which is the next question, right?
True.
How to make team members be involved with the product, less task focused.
Yeah, this is something that really pisses me off when it happens, because it's the usual well, my task was this and I did this and that's it. And I'm like, please, can you think that this is an app and this has to work in a whole and with a server and with a backend, you know, have to have the whole project in mind. Someone is going to use this. Do you think this is usable right now? But I don't know how much of a responsibility can you put about the product in a programmer.
Yeah, it goes back, as we said, to personality. Like, you cannot expect people to be proactive and be taking leadership, but you can help them get there, right? If people in the team think that their job is getting tasks done, that's what they will focus on, right? If they see incentives in getting tasks done, like the person that finishes most tasks gets a bonus, then that's what they're going to look for, right? That's going to focus on. So if they're thinking that getting tasks done is what gives them the most benefits, that's what they're going to look for. So somehow, maybe they're thinking that by getting tasks done, they're doing their job well. You need to help them understand that we're not here just to do tasks, right? The tasks are a way to get to a goal. Do they understand the final goal? Let's say, what is the milestone for the next 2 months? Do they understand the impact of their actions in the code base? Do they have access to metrics? Like, oh, every time there is an increase in 3% of crashes, our conversion rate goes down by 2%. Now they can see a correlation of a mistake they did with loss in profit, for example. Or something good they did, they increase profit. It's like, wow, yeah, let's do more of that. You know, like, do they have this visibility? Some companies don't like to share this data with developers. So they're working in a project, they don't even understand the impact of what they do. How will they care about something they don't even know about?
It's very, very hard to define these things. Like, for example, I don't know, like maybe in your case, if a client comes and says, well, the app has bugs, did the team complete the tasks in the first place? I don't know. Like, do you understand what I'm saying here? Like, are they supposed to deliver a solution that is bug free? Right? So in the mind of a developer, they said, yeah, like I went from, you know, like on my Jira system or whatever ticket management system you're using, from doing now to complete it. That's done. Like, my ticket is done. My task is done. Yeah, but it's not. because you need to understand that what you did now is going to be assessed in the future.
Yeah, and sometimes it's really frustrating when you really try to make the people, the team understand and explain and talk about the product, the goal, as you said, in the milestone, and not finish anything, because everything that's considered as finished, you have to go back to it because it's not. And this is like a vicious circle.
Exactly.
So do you have a definition of done?
Like global?
Every team has a definition of done. What does done mean? Like, done for me means that it passes all the tests, it passes QA, and is in production, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You need to have a definition of done. If done means I move this card here over there, whatever you do, you just get the card over there, it's done.
Yeah.
So it's important that you come up with a definition of done with the team together. It's like, what is done? Like when you say we are done with this feature, it means that it will not come back with bugs. If it comes back with the bugs, it means that we were not done when we moved that ticket to complete it.
Mm-hmm.
It was not done. We thought it was done, but we missed something. How can we prevent that from ever happening again?
Mm-hmm. With processes.
Yeah, exactly. With processes, with metrics, like we should not be relying on our opinions on these things. Like you should have actual metrics that can show you, does my contribution meet the standards? And of course, you are setting the standards, right? You, the company.
The team is going to set the standards.
Mm-hmm.
So when someone tries to move a ticket to done, say, it doesn't fit our definition of done because it doesn't have tests, because it was not tested in a staging environment, because QA didn't approve it, whatever it means done for your case, for your team. Depending on your team structure, you need to come up with definition of done together. Let's come up with a scenario. Imagine that the business analyst checks the data and realizes that there are too many abandoned checkouts in the app. Let's say it's an e-commerce app. And I think we can simplify the checkout flow to increase conversions, to increase the amount of people that actually finish the checkout. And then they have all this discussion in the business side. Developers didn't hear it. And they go, they talk to the UX people, and they come up with a new checkout flow. And then they assign a bunch of tasks to the developers. Hey, you need to implement this new checkout flow. And the developer's like, what? We're going to have to reinvent the whole checkout flow? Why? Just because it's more beautiful? Because it has more colors? They don't even understand why they're doing it. They just have this task and they think it's stupid. How do you think they're going to do? Do you think they're going to do well if they think something is stupid? Because they don't understand that it's not converting as much as the business expected. And they're trying something new. But now if you go there and say, hey, look at this. We have this many abandoned checkouts. So the business come out with this new checkout flow. And the premise is that we think this is going to increase conversion. So we're going to even A/B test this. We're going to keep the current checkout. And we're going to see over time if it increases conversion. And we're going to be monitoring these numbers. We're going to have access to those numbers. Let's say it worked. Increased 10% to checkout in the past month. And now they can see a direct impact of the work with the business revenue, with the whole overall business ideas. But they need to see why they're doing things. Otherwise, they're just going to get tasks done.
Communication,
Yeah. You need to understand what they're doing, why they're doing things. And they need to see that what they're doing matters. When you know that what you're doing matters, you're going to try at least to do a good job. But if they don't care, some people just don't care. They just want to get tasks done. Then this is a hiring problem. You hired badly. It could be that problem as well.
Yeah.
Or you inherited some, dysfunctional team or something like that. But it's very hard to convince someone to do something when they don't understand it and they think that if they don't do it, it's the same thing, So to over-deliver something when they don't understand what the positive impact is, it's very, very hard.
Yeah, and sometimes business people underestimate the communication part.
It's the most important thing.
Yeah. That's why we wrote the book.
Communication is the most important thing. So as a leader, you need to be very good at listening. So when someone does this, like detach, let's say, oh, this person is not taking ownership and is just moving tasks around. They don't care what it breaks, what it doesn't break, if it works, if it doesn't work. Detach and think like, why is this person like this? Maybe they don't see the value of what they're doing, right? Can I help them see the value and see that what they do matters?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
You need to listen to the team. Between the lines. They say A, B, but they mean C. So listen.
Yeah, this is up to you. They're not going to come out and say what the problem is.
They don't even know sometimes what the problem is.
Exactly. They don't even know. That's exactly right. They don't even know.
They don't mean harm.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, everyone wants to do a good job.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to be proud of what they do. If they're not being proud and they just become careless, it's just because they don't see value in what they're doing. Help them see the value in what they're doing so they can regain being proud of what they do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, put that as a challenge for them.
Yeah. Incentives,
exactly, that's the word.
Yeah, look into fulfillment instead of just the monetary gain. Just if they can be more fulfilled, So that means basically, can I do my job better? Can I get more value out of my what I'm doing in my job every single day?
Yeah, but that's I completely agree with that, but that's a bit like proactive. There is people that goes for it, but there is people that doesn't.
Yeah.
Well, that's I found it. Yeah, and it's frustrating if you are finding people that it's not and having to deal with them in a leading position.
It's a challenge for you.
Yeah, exactly. That's my challenge.
Exactly.
Even if they don't take ownership, leadership, or be proactive, they can still provide a lot of value to the team. You can find a way they can provide value, right? Everyone has their strengths. It's not because they're not proactive that they don't deliver value, right?
Yeah. It's true.
Because some people are very task oriented, and sometimes you need those people. You need those people getting tasks done, And some people are very efficient getting tasks done. They're not gonna go the extra mile, but they're very efficient, and you need those efficiencies as well in the team.
Yeah.
So you need to manage these as well.
Mm-hmm.
Next question. How to make team members pay attention to the aesthetics aspect of the product. What do you mean here?
Like, it's common to see in the dev world. Not everyone has the same aesthetic mind or way to see things. So, no, I'm not explaining myself good.
Is it why doesn't some view look prettier or something? Like, why don't they make it prettier on their own?
No, sometimes it's like, okay, this is the design I gave you. Do you think this looks like this?
Right, like margins are completely off, font sizes are different.
Yeah, padding, text sizes, everything. Like, does this looks similar to you?
So here you're in luck, actually, because this is one of the easiest things to test. Because you can actually automate that. Like the question that you're just asking now, does these things look similar to you? Let the machine answer it. You can use snapshot testing.
Yeah, there are tools for that to check that things are like pixel perfect, for example.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We're not gonna ship if it doesn't look good, right? You need to set this since the beginning. These are the specs. We're not gonna ship if it doesn't look like this. Our definition of done, it needs to meet the specs. The specs are very precise here. The designer should provide a document with all these specifications. And ideally, there should be an internal framework that will help them make this easy. You need to help the team create processes where doing the right thing is easier than doing the wrong thing. So creating reusable elements, for example. So every time you create a new UI, you don't need to be reinventing the margins, paddings every time. If it's easy to do the right thing, most likely they're going to do the right thing. But it's hard to make it easy. And it may take time.
Yeah. And if you have to have the resources and the time, and sometimes it's hard being tight with schedule and resources.
But it's part of the definition of done. It's done when it meets the design specs. Is one of the ticks. One of the boxes you need to tick is that it needs to meet the design specs, right? So there you have like a checkbox there. Definition of done. Does it meet the specs precisely? Margins, paddings, fonts. Now, if someone goes here and says, yes, precisely, but it doesn't, it should not be approved. And you need to go back and say, hey, this was marked as done, but it was not done. Was it not clear enough, the specs? How can we provide specs that's going to help you get your job done?
Yeah.
Maybe they don't have the skills to do it, because it's not that easy to make a responsive layout that works in different screen sizes, that accommodates dynamic fonts. This is also a skill. Maybe they don't have the skill and they mask that as saying like, I don't care about it because what matters is that it works. No, it's just because they don't know how to do it and they are afraid of dealing with it. Maybe provide them training.
Yeah.
If you can, buy some course for them and they're going to learn the skills and they're going to do it naturally. Most of the times they don't do it because they don't know how to.
Yeah, and related to what you said before, giving them the confidence and the space to say it.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And it's up to you to identify that, right? And move forward and provide the training, the space, and build the confidence.
That's why when they say A, B, they mean C. They might say, no, I don't care about this, but the actual problem is that they don't know how to do it. And maybe they don't even realize that that's the problem. They're just being like naturally defensive against that because they don't want to deal with the problem that I'm a very good developer and I cannot deal with dynamic fonts. It feels like I'm a worse developer if I assume that. So don't make them assume it. No, just provide them the training, no questions asked. Hey, everyone's going to get training this week. We're going to learn how to use these dynamic fonts. We're going to improve this app. It's going to look beautiful. That's it.
Yeah. Thank you.
And add it to the definition of done. It needs to meet the design specs. Next question. How not to damage team members' ego on code reviews.
That came up related to the one at the beginning about the conflicts. Like there's people that feels personally attacked if someone is like, hey, why did you do this or instead of this? And it's like, no problem, just learn.
Classic. Yes.
It's the same problem that Twitter has. Everyone that reads a tweet reads in a different mood. Someone might read, oh, why didn't you use a for loop here? Some might read, why didn't you use the for loop here?
Yeah.
The same words, like how are you going to read it? What kind of intonation you're going to put in the words? It's going to change the whole message, right? Now, if you know that your team members have the best intention, would you read it with that voice? Maybe not. It's about like trusting each other. It's about maturity that's going to grow with time with the team. If they have the space to have conflicts, they need to have space.
Yeah.
Because there's also problems when you set comments in a pull request and someone just ignores them and merge. Or they say, I'm going to address it in a next pull request, and they never do it.
Yeah.
It happens all the time. And then it happens once, twice, 3 times, and then what happens? People say, I'm not even going to comment in this pull request. It's not going to look at it.
Yeah.
So they didn't deal with the conflict. They stopped doing something that was beneficial for the team, like reviewing code, and just saying, yeah, whatever, I'm not going to review this guy's code. Yeah, just approve it. He never does anything when we add a comment. That's not good for the team, and they're not dealing with the problem, right? We're putting under the carpet when people start not having the conflict. So you need to help them have the conflict because that's going to build the relationship.
Yeah.
I go, how can we improve the language so we can provide feedback without affecting others?
Emoticons.
That's it. Yeah.
100%.
That helps a lot.
100%. Like make, if necessary, tell them for a week, let's try adding emoticons in everything we do. Because it helps with the mood when you're reading the message. You cannot read a message if there's like a smile, like you cannot read it with like an aggressive tone, for example.
And sometimes it's even ironic, so you can play with it. No, it's true the way people read text in a screen or everything. It really changes the way they understood what they are told.
And that's going to be more problematic now that you're working remotely. Because if you are in the same team, like you can just turn and see their mood and deal with that conflict instantly. But remotely, they're not seeing each other, they're not talking to each other for a while. They can interpret it in any way, depending on the mood they are in, depending on previous conversations, depending on so many factors. So do you still have some meetings with your team where everyone is on camera? Because it helps a lot to be on camera and see each other remotely.
We let that decision to everyone, like if you put or not your camera, we don't force to do or not.
Right. But they still talk to each other, like hear their voices, right?
Yeah, of course. we use meeting software like this one a lot during the day. We have these dailies at the start of the day, and then maybe some technical dots or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, help people if they're having a conflict during a merge request. Maybe they have a video call to talk about it, and you can mediate that. You can help them say, hey, like, let's solve this. Let's go, like, this conversation is going nowhere on text. Let's jump very quick into a Skype call, 3 of us, and let's sort it out.
Yeah, don't give the opportunity to misunderstand it.
Yeah, it's going to happen, but the more mature the team is, the more they build relationship, the more comfortable they are with dealing with conflict, the more they're going to call each other out, And there's a framework by Simon Sinek, dealing with conflict, that I really like. He calls it FBI, or Feelings, Behavior, and Impact. Say exactly how you feel, the action that made you feel that way, and the potential impact of that behavior. For example, in the case that I told you, the pull requests. Someone created a pull request, they ignore your comments or say, I'm going to deal with it later, and they never do it. How can you address that and actively have that conflict with the person? Don't go and say, you always merge code regardless of comments, because always is not specific, right? It's very generic. Because they can say, well, but I addressed your comment yesterday, right? And then it's like, then you lost the argument. So 99% of the time, they don't address your comment. And they did it once, and they keep using that once as an argument to say, no, I addressed it 2 days ago, remember? So you need to be specific. So say, hey, when you merged pull request number 208, so that's very specific. Even though I had made comments to it, you made me feel completely unimportant. So that's the feeling. So you're very specific with their action, and then you bring the feeling. You made me feel completely unimportant. Like my opinion doesn't matter to you. Make sense?
Yeah.
And then you can say, and also on pull request 191, 195, 202, you said you would address Susan's comment in a new PR, and you never did. So this is like specific, and you already brought the feeling. Now you need to bring, what is the impact that might come? You can say, I fear that if you keep doing this, we won't trust you anymore. And you stop, and that's it. That's the framework. And you shut up. And you wait them to say something. Don't say anything. They're probably going to be very defensive. But we need to ship fast, and I'm going to address it, but I didn't have time. They're going to be defensive. You're going to say, I hear you. And you repeat, I hear you. But when you merged pull request 208, even though I had made comments to it, you made me feel unimportant, and I'm afraid we might stop trusting you. And it shut again. Because the idea is to get them accountable for their actions. Their actions have an impact, and they need to understand that impact. So instead of avoiding the conflict, you're not going to be aggressive. You're going to say how you feel. Because we don't want to lose trust in you.
Okay,
so
that makes sense.
That's very effective because
it speaks the truth.
It's going to bring exactly the problem to the surface. This person is accountable now because they understand the impact of what they do.
Yeah.
So next time, they're going to think 3 times, 4 times before they do it again. Because now they are accountable. Now they know what the problem is. Now they know the impact of their action. I never seen it happen again after such confrontation. Because sometimes this person doesn't even know that they don't actually understand the impact of what they're doing.
Yeah.
When you bring it up, they are surprised. You will see in their face, they are surprised that that's how you feel and that's the impact of their action. Because they didn't have this intention at all. And you see the face of surprise, like instantly like, what?
Wow.
And that's mostly what happened in my experience when you confront someone. You think they're doing it maliciously. You think they are being aggressive, but now it's your ego saying that. That's your ego judging them as malicious. But it's not.
So, communication again.
It's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't avoid conflict. I know a lot of teams that try to avoid conflicts. And then you go there and everyone is smiling, but it's a fake smile. Everyone's like, think everything's okay, but it's not okay. It's not okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I try to deal with everything and make this a space with the team to talk about it. Yeah, and in a normal way. There is nothing to be avoiding. It's work. It's not some maybe life thing. It's more complicated.
Yes. But also identify our own ego, because when someone brings their ego to the game, our ego also grows, and then at some point it's a battle of ego. Detach.
Also, think out of the box. Do not marry the process. Don't take things at face value. For instance, if code reviews you see that are killing the team, don't have code reviews because everyone else is having code reviews. You need to be able to assess, are code reviews an asset for my team or are they a liability for my team? So then you need to find other ways perhaps of evaluating the quality of the code. If, let's assume in the first place, that's why you do code reviews. So my point is, because everyone is doing something, it doesn't mean it's going to work for you and your team. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
There are other ways you can guarantee the code is reviewed.
Yes.
Like pairing. If people are building code together, you already have 2 eyes looking at the code.
Yeah, I think pairing is something I would like to have the chance to apply more. But again, it's hard, depend on the time and resources. But yeah, I think it's something that brings a lot of value to everyone.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you think that, if I pair 2 developers, I'm going to have half of the productivity because I could have 2 people working on 2 different problems at the same time, which is not entirely true.
Yeah, no.
Sometimes people working in their own silos doesn't increase productivity at all. Actually decreases productivity because then you have merge conflicts, then you have logical conflicts in the code base, design conflicts in the code base, you have conflicts in the code reviews, you have conflicts in the merge request. So maybe trying to go faster is the bottleneck. Sometimes going slower is the solution to the problem.
And sometimes if you put two people developing the same thing, their brain are less. They consume less brain, but in a good way. They get less headaches because they can split the responsibilities of what one is writing.
Yeah. They can get things done faster and better as well.
Mm-hmm.
They get closer as a team. They have time to also
make jokes
and have some fun.
Yeah. I remember having a lot of fun when doing this pair thing in university, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a lot
when
of
someone fun. When the one that was writing was doing mistakes or something, you would be like making jokes and yeah.
So, but not all the time. Like it doesn't need to be all the time. And some people just don't want to pair. You know, you're going to have conflicts with people saying, I don't want to pair with others. I don't like it. I like to work alone. People are going to say that to you.
The solo developers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to build a team of people work together, maybe they don't fit. Even if they are the best developer you have in the team, sometimes they don't fit because they can become the bottleneck at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Next question. How to deal with people that are not organized? What do you mean by organized?
Well, organized with the no depth aspect of the work, with tasks, with description, with comment, with mails, with meetings, with organized in general.
For instance, like they do not get back to you, or they are late in meetings, or something like that?
No, I meant more like tidy.
Tidy.
Not tidy.
Because people have different
ways of seeing tightness.
Ways of seeing tightness, of seeing organization. Some people have like a messy table, but they in their head is like this chaos is the organization. They know where everything is and they can operate through that chaos.
In their chaos,
you know. So that's the problem. But when you are in a team and you are sharing resources, like you cannot bring your chaos to other people's shared space, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in your table or in your frame, you can be as you want. But if it involves other people and the work of other people, you have to take it carefully and pay attention because it involves the rest. Yeah. So sometimes with people that doesn't see tightness or organization the same way, it's hard. And then another member of the team can come and say, hey, this guy did this, and then I'm forced to do this because of him.
Right.
Yeah, you need to have high standards in the team and provide them the training to be able to outperform in their task, right? If someone is not being able to do something, you need to provide them training. So being organized with tasks, for example.
Yeah, with maybe the software the team use for all kind of different things, tasks, blah, blah, and with formatting mails to be automatically organized, or all these things that alone, they seem not that important, but when you are dealing with a lot of stuff, it makes a difference.
Again, make it easy to do the right thing. Right? So if you think that setting up some automations in the email and creating some inboxes is the right thing to do, why isn't it the default when they join the team and they get an inbox with your company for it to already be organized and automated in the way you think it's more beneficial for them? Or giving them a manual that's going to help them set up this automation, and their first task is to set up their automation exactly as following the tutorial. Like onboarding and having all these set up
the same
to help them. Like a lot of people say, the developers don't want to use Jira. Again, because they don't know how to use it. They don't understand why you're using it. They don't understand what is an epic, what is a milestone, what is a task, what is a checklist. When should I use a task? When should I use a checklist? When should I tag this as a bug? When should I tag this? You know, you can teach them.
Yeah.
And help them understand. Because again, they might not know how to use it. And they might use all kinds of excuses to avoid learning it. But you can allocate the time when they join the team, or like if they're already there now, you need to find them the time to learn these things. So today the task is to automate all your emails and make it easy to do it. Like if you can automate things, do it, you know?
Yeah. True, yeah. I agree with make it easier to do it right and teach them how you want them to do it. But how to deal with people that you tell them how to do it and they just don't, because they don't see the value.
That's it.
But you tell them the value, but for them that's not the value, so they don't do it. But in a way, you are at the first you are telling them to do it, but at some point is just please do it this way, but you got to that point because they don't agree, but maybe that's not something they have to agree, but you explain to them. I don't want to be rude, that's not the point, but there is people that don't listen and how to deal with that.
As a leader, you always have the card, I told you so, but I recommend you never use it.
Don't play that card.
You don't want to play that card.
If they don't want to do it, do they have a better process? Listen.
Exactly.
What are they doing instead?
Yeah, they're asking the question way.
You know? So what are you doing to achieve that then? We want to achieve X. I recommend you do this. It works well for me. But if you know a better way, do it. And if it's a better way, just let us know and we're going to change our process as well. If you have a better idea.
Yeah.
You know? Listen.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're doing something and they don't want to do it differently and they are failing, let them fail. It's going to humble them. They're going to say, well, maybe my process is not working, so it's going to humble them, letting them fail a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if someone is failing, and is not able to adapt to the process, maybe they shouldn't be in the team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you give them all the chances, all the space for them to improve. But if they keep failing, maybe you cannot accommodate the ego in the team, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But last resort, always, right? You're there to help them succeed. That's your job. Your job is to make the team succeed.
Yeah.
And doing your way may not be the way to make them succeed. Let them find their way. Let space. And they might fail. And then you help them when they fail. Make very clear the goal. Here's the goal. Can you get there with your solution? You're going to say, yes. Go for it. Give them the space. Go for it.
And they're going to talk. Like, that's the other thing. Like, they're going to vocalize, their thoughts, emotions, perhaps.
Don't expect them to follow you blindly.
No.
I know, like, when you know how to do something and you know someone is failing, you just want to go there and tell them what to do. But sometimes they need to fail to learn. So if someone want to go their own way, yeah, give them space to do their own way. If they achieve the goal, fantastic. That was the goal, right? Doesn't matter how. Otherwise, if they fail, you need to help them and say, hey, we failed to achieve that deadline, and provide them the training, whatever they need. Sometimes people don't want to do things because they don't know how to do them. That's probably the most important thing you should get from this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the point. As a leader, you cannot just tell them what to do. You need to support them.
Mhm.
So when it's been difficult, let them go their way. Give them the leadership, give them the space. And they might succeed, they might fail, you know?
Yeah, and some of them will provide you with more value than you thought if you give them the space and the opportunity to lead.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it. You never know, right? So maybe they will provide more value, you know?
Mhm.
And when you can help and they are willing to take the help them.
And these are the types of experiments you are called to do as a successful team lead, you know, like understanding your team, their problems, what they're facing.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, thank you guys. Yeah.
How to deal with solo developers, I think we covered that.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same, by the way.
Yeah.
How to be the barrier between business and devs, we also discussed that.
Yeah,
The
the
adapter.
adapter, not the barrier.
Yeah, I don't want to be a barrier.
Yes.
I mean, they need to understand the incentives.
Yes.
You're going to find a very detailed part of the Lead Essentials book that deals with this exact topic here. You know, so make sure you check that out.
Yeah. Okay.
How to delegate when you know the result is not going to be as good as if you did. That's what I mean.
Yes, it's something it took me some time to be comfortable with. I'm more now, of course, but yeah, the start was hard.
Yeah. Well, if you do everything, if you do the hard tasks, they're not going to learn. They're not going to be able to carry on their own. You're going to be the bottleneck because you're only one.
Exactly.
Right? So you need to let it go. Let it go.
Yeah.
Very, very hard. Be prepared. It's very, very hard.
Because remember, as a leader, your job is not to get the job done. Your job is to help the people that get the job done.
Yeah.
Nice one.
Give them the space.
Otherwise, again, like you do not have the time in 24 hours to do that.
Yeah.
But be very specific with the tasks they need to do, and they're going to find a way to get there. You cannot be the bottleneck. I've been there. Trying to get everything done. Doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah, so I experienced it myself, and that's the way I started learning about doing it. Yeah.
So communication, yeah. Set the goal very clear and they're going to find a way. So communication is the most important thing.
Yeah.
If you set the right goal, if they understand what they have to do, they will find a way. It may take longer than you would, but they will find a solution if the problem is clear.
Yes, specifications.
Yes.
Yeah.
Help them understand the problem and give them the tools. If they say, I don't think I'm able to do that, provide them the training, provide them with the time, with the tools, whatever they need. So leadership is a skill and you can improve it. Don't forget these 4 books. To start with, this is like leadership 101.
Yeah.
Okay, should I start with your book first?
Yeah, go for it.
You can start there.
Yeah. And it's tailored in your role, a lead developer.
Thanks for the recommendations. I will also do them for sure.
All right, so that's
absolutely.
it. WWDC is starting in 15 minutes.
Yes. So let me thank you guys for this opportunity to have a chat with you, and it is really valuable for me, and I was really, really comfortable chatting with you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Nico.
Yeah.
All right, and thanks for letting us share this with others, because a lot of developers are going to go through this phase, you know. We're going to take leadership and you need to be ready for it.
Yes.
All right, so let's watch WWDC now. Thanks again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you. Thank you both. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.